Hello guys, I'm back. So today I will present my presentation about critical thinking on the Recount text tasks in KEMENDIKBUD English Coursebook for Captains. So before that, let me to introduce myself. My name is Sesilia Yuliani with study number 20530043. So let's move our discussion is about critical thinking. So in background of the study there is what is critical thinking. So before that I want to ask you, have you heard a critical thinking before? Do you know what is critical thinking? Yes, critical thinking is one of the most important tasks that students must have, because critical thinking makes it easier for a person to process and use the information obtained to solve problems. So there are 4 types of thinking skill. The first one is convergent analytical thinking. Convergent analytical thinking is the process of coming up with the best answer to a question using our memory, research around us, or logics. And the second one is divergent thinking. So what is divergent thinking? Divergent thinking is the exact opposite of convergent thinking. It involves coming up to solution, path forward, or new idea when there is no single correct answer. And the third one is critical thinking skills. So this is the one that we are discussing today. And critical thinking skill involves analyzing something in order to form a judgment about it. So this research I'm at exploring the correlation between thinking of students through the Recount text in KEMENDIKBUD English Coursebook for Captains. This is the research question. How can critical thinking on the Recount text tasks in KEMENDIKBUD English Coursebook for Captains? So we move to objective of the study. So this study aimed to determine the critical thinking on the Recount text tasks in KEMENDIKBUD English Coursebook for Captains. So and this is the significance of the study. There are 3 significance of the study. So the first one is for the students. So what is significant of this study for the students? So significance of this study for the student, it is expected that the student can improve their critical thinking skill through doing the context tasks, and they can have bigger interest in reading the context. And the second one is for teachers. Significant of this study for teacher, it is expected that it can make the English teacher improve their perspective about improving students' critical thinking skill through recontext tasks. And then the last significance of this study is for the researcher. So for the researchers, it is expected that this research can be a reference in further research, especially researcher with similar topics. And then scope and limitation. The scope of this study is any discussion about Recount text and critical thinkings, and the limitation is on the discussion about the implementation of critical thinking on the tasks provided by the English coursebook, especially tasks in Recount text chapter. So let's move in other slides. This is the literature review. In theoretical framework, there is definition of critical thinking. So before we go in this slide, before we discuss about critical thinking, right? Yes. And critical thinking, definition of critical thinking, the ability to think critically is the most important goal of education. So in this case, critical thinking includes higher level process such as analyzing, synthesizing, evaluating, drawing consolation, and reflecting, which enable the individual to make reasonable assessment both in the classroom and in everyday life. And the second one is Bloom's taxonomy. So in this theory or in this theoretical framework, there are from Bloom taxonomy. So Bloom taxonomy is a classification system basic skill like the Bloom's taxonomy is a classification system for thinking skill that goes from basic skill like knowledge to more complicated thinking skill like evaluation. The cognitive process dimension, the second part of Bloom taxonomy, defines six ways of thinking. There are remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and the last is create. So the third one of theoretical framework is the importance of critical thinking in Indonesian education. Yes, right. In Indonesian education, critical thinking is valued. Critical thinking is a crucial 21st century learning skill that students must be taught and practice throughout their academic careers. Students must not just think, but also critically in order to success in school. They will require the help of academic personnel to complete the tasks who are well versed in critical thinking, both conceptually and practically, particularly when it's come to reading. The fourth one of theoretical framework is English language tasks. English language teaching tasks on one of the most crucial aspects of the learning process is the task-based learning aim to improve interlanguage students by giving them a challenge and then teaching them how to solve it using language. And the five theoretical framework is recontext. So I want to ask you, do you know what is recontext? Yep, recontext is type of text that contains stories about our experience in the past. So the last one is theoretical. The last one, recontext. In course book, the researcher also describe content that comprise knowledge, language factor, genetic organization, and example in this study of recontext in 10th grade English book, recontext objective is to reveal even for the purpose of either enlightening or entertaining their audience or both. So this is the previous related study. The first one, previously that related study in Suhan and changing critical thinking skill by using the revised Bloom taxonomy, cognitive domain, 20 and 11. According to Suhan analyzed we as a teacher can gain a very strong tool in enabling our pupils to study at a higher and more critical level by adopting the revised Bloom's taxonomy. So the second one, preface related studies, is Utami et al. And the title, Critical Thinking Skill Profile of High School Student in Learning Chemistry. And according to Utami et al., analyze students in senior high school with critical thinking skill in the 10th and 11th and 12th grade have acceptable critical thinking skill. So let's move to other slides. This is the research method. So in this research approach, is used in this research is case study. So why the researcher used case study? Because it takes a case of an English course book which has problems, and the data in this study are from the Recount task chapter in the KEMENDIKBUD English course book for guidance, taken from documentation, and source of data is documentation. The subject is book in the book KEMENDIKBUD in chapter English course book for guidance. So this is the technique of data collection. Technique of data collection is documentation. The first one is reading. This is the first step that we do. Reading the Recount text in chapter 7, 8, 9, and 10 of KEMENDIKBUD English course book for grade 10 holistically and holistically. Reading is used to scan the story, and repetitive reading is used to dive deeply in the message of the story. So the second one technique of data collection is take notes. This is the second step. So take note the text in chapter 7, 8, 9, and 10 from KEMENDIKBUD English course book for guidance. And the last one is categories. So the last step of data collection is categories the text in two groups, lots and hots. Lots, that is remember, understand, and apply. And then hots, that is analyzing, evaluating, and creating. So we arrive to technique of data analysis. The first one is identify and gathering information. This path is to obtain information from chapter 7 8, 9, and 10 of the KEMENDIKBUD English course book for grade 10s. And the second one is choose the coding categories. Choose the coding categories. The step for classifying the data are those. The tasks are from chapter 7, 8, 9, and 10 of English course book for grade 10 published by KEMENDIKBUD. And then the third one is content coding. Content coding is the process of separating the work into lots and hot categories. And then the fourth is check fidelity and reliability. Check fidelity and reliability, it is step to review the data which are going to be analyzed in this context, the data which are categories as hot and fast. So the last is analyze and present the results. So you analyze and you present the result. Okay. Let's move to other. Okay, this is the last of my slides. So before that, I want to tell thank you very much for your attention. And then if you want to ask me, just yes, you can ask me. And then I have one pantun for you. So this is hidup kesepian tanpa kekasih, cukup sekian dan terima kasih. So thank you for your attention. Bye bye.